This program is brought to you by AdReach, the South African Canoe Federation and the Department of Sport and Recreation. Copenhagen, Denmark was the venue for the 2013 World Canoe Marathon Championships and the focus of an exceptional week of paddling. The first event was held in 1988 and takes place in a different country every year. On the outskirts of the city of Copenhagen lies the scenic Lake Bagsvart, which will host the largest lineup of athletes in the event's history. The competition will see the best of the best, the fastest of the fast, and of course the most festive team of the lot, the South African paddlers and their supporters.
And welcome to South Africa.
Here for his first World Marathon Championships and a crack at the Under-23 title was 3 times winner of the Doozy Canoe Marathon, Andy Burkett.
The actual lake that we paddled on was really pretty, sort of between 3 lakes. The weather was really unpredictable. You could be paddling one moment in just a vest and then the rain would come over and get freezing cold. So you really had to try and just be careful with the weather. It didn't change and you'd be stuck out there during your race. In terms of the actual course, it wasn't too technical, just 2 turns. It made the racing quite interesting with the portage coming out the last turn, which was quite nice and made people attack around the corner. And I think that the portage was also really fair, portage on the left and the right, both options, so it was a great course overall.
Although slightly unpredictable, the conditions were ideal for all the competitors.
Possibly the best thing for us as South Africans was that we don't have any excuses. There was no excuses about the fact that it was hot and wasn't cold, or that there was too many waves. It was a perfect course, no excuses, let the best man win. And with 36 nations competing from around the world, the competitors would need to muster up every bit of skill and power to take the title of World Canoe Champion. These athletes were looking forward to a hugely competitive 5 days of competition. Despite paddling not being one of our biggest sports, the South African athletes still compete successfully against the strongest paddling nations in the world. Our ideal year-round conditions create a platform for excellent performance. South Africa is rated as one of the top 3 nations in canoeing in the world. We have some of the greatest sprinters, we have some of the greatest, definitely the greatest marathon paddlers and whitewater river paddlers. We have all these incredible races like the Berg River Marathon over 4 days, the Doozy, the Fish. It's an amazing sport because you really can't get injured in it. It's one of those sports that's not like running up and down a road. It's not like when you tear Achilles tendons and things like that. This is a sport that is just pulling a boat through the water and having fun. It's an amazing sport.
During apartheid, South Africa was banned from sport for 20 years. When in 1996 we were allowed back onto the world stage, Lee McGregor finally became internationally recognized.
Raced the Finlandia race from Chicago to New York, won that by 30 minutes. Got myself into a nice picture in the back of Time magazine, international, and gave the recognition for hanging in there for those 20 years. So always to hear that national anthem, always to see the South African flag flying. It was always a major thing in my life, and I guess that's got to be the ultimate.
Following in his footsteps from a very early age, Hank McGregor fast became a world champion, and before Denmark had won the world senior title twice. He set his mind on becoming the best and pursued it with absolute commitment.
The only person I know who's put thousands and thousands of hours to achieve his goal is Hank. Obviously my best of the best of the best is to watch my little boy go along and still go and win that title, the fastest marathon paddler in the world.
Hank McGregor has been paddling for 20 years. It has taken him around the world and he cannot think of any other sport he would rather do. His ambitions as a youngster drove him to take the sport and himself to new heights.
Since I was a kid, I've always dreamt of being the best in the world. Some people always dreamt about being a fireman or a cop or a pilot or something. I just wanted to be the best in the world. As growing up, I ended up getting a disease in my knees and was basically running too much and growing too fast all at the same time. So took to paddling really and haven't looked back, you know. So for me, it was a matter of being best in the world, and whatever it was, I just wanted to be the best in the world. And some people laughed when you, as a kid, when you say that, and watch Olympic videos of people and you see the achievement on their face and the satisfaction. You're like, I want that, you know. That's what I want, you know. When I crossed the Atlantic sailing every day, I used to watch this video of me racing when I was in Amsterdam, my first World Championships the year before, and I watched the senior men's race over and over again, and I just imagine every time then when I went paddling, I used to jump off the boat and I just kept those visual shots in my mind, and I just, yes, that's the guy I want to beat, you know, that's the guy I actually want to beat. And for me it was just, I love paddling and the ocean, and there was nothing below me for like 5.5 kilometers and nothing around me for a couple of 1,000 miles. It was raw. So it was an experience on its own just to paddle, but in the back of my mind I was just training for this one thing, to become world champion, you know.
And to become world champion in Denmark, Hank would have to be at his best on the day. But this was not to be. Nothing can be taken for granted, especially when going head-to-head with current world champion from Spain, Ivan Alonso. The race starts in front of the crowds and paddlers head straight to the far side of the lake, 2 kilometers away. The turnaround is then followed by 2 kilometers straight back to the start to complete a single lap. Between each lap is a 180-meter portage in front of the crowds of supporters, and a final 1 kilometer lap to the finish line. Distances range from 17 to 30 kilometers.
And look, U23 K1 away.
The first race, the men's Junior K1, is one of the hardest races to compete in, with the European competitors being the strongest sprinters in the world. Kenneth Rice, current junior surf ski world champion, was keeping pace with the Olympic hopefuls from Europe. Nicholas Naughton, a strong runner, was just off the pace and was using the portages to his advantage. In the final sprint, Hungarian Adam Petra was too strong for Bulgarian athlete Artur Peters.
It is Adam Petra from Hungary that will have the gold medal.
Kenneth Rice of South Africa managed a respectable 7th place. In the women's Junior K1, the 17-year-old Kirsten Flanagan of Cape Town was taking on the best in the world. She had put in monumental training for the last year, and as she sprints past 2 competitors at the portage, this training is clearly paying off. She stuck close to the leader, Tamara Takis of Hungary.
The leading up to the race, the actual training and the building up to being mentally prepared and physically prepared is the hardest part. From the start, I didn't know what to expect until they said go. I managed to hook onto front bunch, and I think that was the turning point because I realized that I was actually in the game.
But by the last portage, Tamara had pulled ahead, leaving Kirsten with a silver medal and a bright future ahead of her.
Well, the course and the weather definitely played to my advantage because the weather was very cold, and which is similar to back home where we train, and the course was also very fair and the portage was quite long, which made it quite exciting.
In the women's under-23 K1, Tennille Hatton from New Zealand led the front diamond of 8 boats. In the second diamond, 50 meters back, South Africa's Kerry Segal and Jenna Ward were in their first year as under-23s. With her incredible endurance, Jenna, the winner of the Berg River Marathon women's event, probably would have enjoyed a longer race.
Tenelle Hatton from New Zealand who will win, who will take the gold medal. Gold medal to New Zealand, Tenelle Hatton, and silver to Spain, Rachel Carballo.
The under-23 men's K1 saw South Africa's Andy Burkett and Brandon van der Walt preparing for battle in front of a special guest, the Crown Prince of Denmark, who made his way to the water's edge to watch the all-critical start.
And the race is away. The men's under-23s.
Brandon and Andy managed to secure their places in the leading diamond of 10 boats. All the competitors in the front diamond put in great effort on the paddle and portages to keep with the pace and not lose the advantage of the diamond wave, which is the equivalent of sitting in a slipstream in the peloton of a cycle race. Over the 26-kilometer race, the front diamond of 10 gradually reduced to just 4 boats, including the 2 South Africans, Hamar from Norway and Avas from Hungary. Coming into the final portage with just a 180-meter run and a 1,000-meter paddle remaining, Andy Burkett was leading. But an all-out effort on the run by Matthias Hamar, the Norwegian got into his boat for the final paddle, fractionally ahead of South Africa's Andy and Brandon. These 3 athletes broke away from the 4th place of ours, and it was now 4 minutes of agony that would determine who took gold, silver and bronze. Into the final straight, Matthias Hamar was leading strongly, and it looked like the gold was his. In a dramatic display of strength, the South African paddlers showed their grit and determination and powered past Hamar, who could not respond and dropped to 3rd. Gold and silver were secured for South Africa, but the race was not over as Brandon and Andy went to battle in a final sprint for the gold.
Still in the lead, just a couple of meters in before van der Walt. Oh, this is wonderful! What a race!
What a fantastic race for the 2 South Africans. Andrew Burkett just takes it from Brandon van der Walt. South Africa, Andrew Burkett.
So a gold and silver for South Africa in the closest finish of the event so far. In the men's junior K2, despite the competitors all being under 18, many of the doubles pairs have been training together for years, which was clear by their power, speed and perfect timing.
Are now in the lead of the K2 World Championship.
South Africa's Kenneth Rice and Nicholas Naughton worked hard for a well-deserved 7th place. Denmark's Kasper Petsman and Morten Gravesen certainly celebrated their home turf victory with great enthusiasm.
Just see these boys win the gold medal.
And silver medalist is Anders Gerener, number 2, Hungary.
In the junior women's K2, neither of South Africa's doubles pairs were able to secure a position in the front diamond. Kelly Billion and Nicole Smith were South Africa's 2 youngest competitors in Denmark and gained invaluable experience competing in the World Champs. Partnered by Sofia Salivaris, Tamara Takas of Hungary managed her 2nd gold. The K2 women's event saw the pairing of South Africa's Alexa Cole with Eloise van Gijssen. and Olympic medalist Bridget Hartley, with surf ski world champion Michelle Ere in a formidable doubles combination. But disaster struck, and both South African double pairs did not finish the race.
I think one thing that makes marathon paddling a little bit more exciting than just going down the line in a sprint race for me is that there's so many different elements, namely my disappointment of having a rudder brake, but I've seen it in many years before that somebody can port it and drop the boat and the rudder breaks off as well. And I think for us, all of a sudden we were one of the competitors who were ready to be one of the top 5 possibly, and all of a sudden we were thrown out and it mixed up the group completely. So I think when it comes to marathon racing, you can check everything, but something can still go wrong. Somebody can bump you and fall in the water or something, or you can slip and fall, and I think that makes it a little bit more exciting, not just the matter of flat water paddling and that's all.
Another gold for hosts Denmark, with Hungary getting silver. Men's K2 is always a very exciting race due to the speeds of the K2. The Spanish dominated the race, with first place going to 2012 K1 world champion Ivan Alonso and Emilio Merchant.
Of K2, the world champions of K2 2013, Ivan Alonso and Emilio Merchant from Spain, after a very impressive race.
South Africa's Sean Rubenstein and Sean Rice were placed 4th, just outside the medals, with Andrew Burkett and Cam Schumann in 5th.
And Michael Barco is challenging them all the way into the finish, but it will be South Africa who takes the 5th position, and the Czech Republic is 6th.
The Masters division was definitely the most competitive Masters World Championships ever, with some of the age groups having well in excess of 50 paddlers. South Africa's Marion Young, Len Jenkins, Angela Scrooby, Lee McGregor and Alan Hold all came away with gold medals.
The doubles was fantastic. Alan Hold and myself have won 2 world doubles titles already, so we were going for number 3. We were pretty marked out there. We broke away from the start, won by a couple of minutes, beat the age group below us as well, so you sure can't complain about that. Gold medal for myself and Alan Hold. We had a great one.
In the K1 women, Alexa Cole and Michelle Byrne were South Africa's hopefuls. Queen of canoeing Renata Kasay of Hungary took the lead early and dominated the race. The 36-year-old mother of 2 and 13 times world champion broke away from the field, and true to her reputation of never having anyone finish in her wave in her 13 world championship titles, crossed the line over a minute ahead of the rest of the field. A true champion.
For the incredible Queen of Marathon, Renate K, Hungary!
Injury during the race meant Michelle Byrne could not finish. Alexa Cole took 10th place. The most exciting race of the event, the men's K1, was hugely competitive, with the best men's paddlers from 23 nations going head-to-head to decide who would be the ultimate world champion. South Africa's hopeful Hank McGregor was feeling ill on the day, and things weren't looking good for him and the South African team.
I wasn't feeling my best. I went into the race not necessarily being the strongest that I would have liked to have been. I was feeling sick, and it was a 50-50 chance I was going to start. Try to keep it to myself and to my wife and to my father, and yeah, I managed to get to the start line in one piece.
Ivan Alonso from Spain and the South Africans Hank McGregor and Grant van der Walt.
Current world champion Ivan Alonso lined up alongside the other 37 competitors, including South Africa's Grant van der Walt and Hank McGregor, as they prepared for the grueling 30-kilometer 7-lap race.
And the race is away.
And off they are, and it is Mate Petrovic that in his white boat out there are taking the lead. But now I think
the start is decisive, with boats reaching speeds in excess of 20 kilometers per hour, which is the Olympic sprint pace. Having once held a world ranking for the 200 meter, Hank was able to get a great start and positioned himself well in the front diamond.
One of the most defining moments for me in the race was just after the start. I always know that the start is really important, and I'm sure everyone else that's raced marathons know how important your start is, and it can cost you your race. And for me, I wasn't feeling great, and I managed to get a good position about 200-300 meters after the start, and then I challenged for the front wave, and the ease that I managed to do it with just gave me a lot of confidence, just that booster that I need, like, hey, I'm in it to win it, you know. And I think that was, for me, it was a defining moment in the race. It happened approximately maybe just over a minute and a half after the start. So after that, everything was just a matter of being economical and saving myself and trying to keep all my cards as close to my chest until the time that it really counted. The course was very fair, it was very open, so you couldn't really get away with any sort of advantage anywhere on the course. So it came down to basically who was going to be better on the day, and I knew it was after the last portage I had to be in front, and I had to put the guys under pressure, and hopefully I could hold on to the finish.
As the race progressed, it became ever clearer that the final portage was going to be decisive.
coming in now to the final portage, it's Hank McGregor. Hank McGregor coming up first. Hank McGregor, the specialist, the marathon specialist from South Africa, is now running. His strong legs carrying him very, very fast over the portage.
Hank is well known for his strong running and seldom loses ground on the portage, putting pressure on Alonso and the rest of the leading pack.
But watch Hank McGregor. Hank McGregor is really trying to do it once again. Hank McGregor is running the fastest he can, and now we will see his technique jumping into the boat. He used to do that very skillfully, and he did it secure this time instead. And off here, Hank McGregor in the lead of the World Championships 2013.
With the 2013 World Championships title up for grabs, Hank McGregor and Ivan Alonso rounded the final buoy and a sprint to the finish.
Still 250 to go, and Hank McGregor are still holding the initiative, and I don't think he will let any others have the smell of victory. More to go, 200 meters more to go, and it's Hank McGregor and it's Ivan Alonso, and Cyril Carr has fallen off a little bit. Cyril Carr has 2 or 3 boat lengths up now, and it's Hank McGregor, and now Ivan Alonso is coming. Ivan Alonso is trying now, but Hank McGregor is responding quite well, and it's Hank McGregor that probably is going to win. Hank McGregor, and he has the ability to stop a little bit and do a sign of victory. Hank McGregor, South Africa!
Thanks to the crowd out there, thanks to the South African teammates. You guys are legends. Yeah, I waited until the last 1,000 meters, and it was any man for himself, and I was just strong enough to win my title back, so I'm really happy. My wife's here in the crowd, and my dad, so couldn't have asked for better people to be watching me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hank McGregor!
The overall results for the 2013 Canoe World Championships: in first place Spain, second place Hungary, and third place Denmark. South Africa ended 6th.
Canoeing South Africa, I think we definitely in a good space at the moment. we managed to bring back an Olympic medal, which is always fantastic, thanks to Bridget Hartley. So we're on the world scene with the sprinting, and then at the same time to be current world champion. It definitely puts the confidence in the youth of us South Africans, saying that you don't have to be in Europe or overseas to paddle against the best in the world. We've got them right here, and we're homebred, and we can be homemade, and we're good enough, and you can produce world champions.
The next Canoe World Championships takes place in Oklahoma, USA. This program is brought to you by AdReach, the South African Canoe Federation, and the Department of Sport and Recreation.